All right, if you just joined us, it's still Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV, and now to our main conversation. Police officers on Tuesday shot a tear gas at the 16 Plateau lawmakers who were sacked by the Court of Appeal. The lawmakers who were elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) were sacked by the appeal court over a lack of party structure in November of 2023. The sacked members who announced plans to resume legislative duties despite the ruling of the Court of Appeal arrived at the Rayfield Old Government House in Jos, the Plateau State capital, with their supporters. They were prevented from gaining access into the chambers by the police who had taken over the premises of the government house. In another development story, senators from the 19 northern states have rejected what they described as skewed allocation of funds and projects in the 2024 national budget in favor of the southern part of the country. The senators who were not specific on the aspect of the funding of the 28.7 trillion naira budget they consider to be skewed against the region also protested against the planned relocation of some department of the Central Bank of Nigeria, which includes Department of Banking Supervision, Consumer Protection and Monetary Policy. Another agency the senators protested against are the Federal Aviation Authority of Nigeria (FAN), the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA), the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency (NAMA), and the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau (NCIB). We have in the studios today with me to discuss on this issue is Dr. Olabisi Deji Folutile. She is a journalist and also a publisher of franktalknow.com. Ma'am, you're welcome to Enterprise Morning today.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Now let's, we have a handful of issues I would love us to talk about. But let's start with the issue of legislators and the fracas they are having with appeal court. Yesterday we had that made the big news. You know, the legislators were actually desiring to come back. They have been sacked by the appeal court, but they desired to come back. And when they did come back, they were met with force of the police. And now it's making big news. So I'd love to have your take on that. Then we can go into more details about the issue.
Well, what happened yesterday was inevitable.
Okay.
Because you cannot be sacked by the court and still want to continue as legislators. I mean, that is completely out of the way. It's against the rule of law. But if you want to look at the genesis of this problem, you realize that the appeal court sacked these lawmakers unlawfully.
True, very true.
Unlawfully. Because the basis of sacking them, which was the problem with the party structure,
exactly,
was not dismissed by the Supreme Court. So, I mean, which means that these lawmakers, unfortunately for them, they did not have the power to appeal to the Supreme Court, because for them, their own petition stopped at appeal court. The governor was just fortunate because that goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court now ruled that the appeal court shouldn't have sacked the lawmakers based on party structure, because the only party members have the right to ask questions or to petition the court over party structures and not another party bringing that into play. You understand? So at the end of the day, you see that these lawmakers, they have been cheated of their rights, but at the same time, a court has ruled.
But the court ruled the court was wrong, and the Supreme Court is coming to correct it. Isn't it? Why can't we have a way that makes it easy for the appeal court to possibly, reinstate them, knowing that the Supreme Court, which is the apex, has said that it is not supposed to be so?
Well, that will take a process. Obviously and apparently, these lawmakers, in the eyes of the law, are no longer lawmakers. In the eyes of the law, it is unfortunate. It is sad. It is wrong. However, they cannot reinstate themselves without the backing of the law. So I think there is another option for them, which is quite long. Probably they need to petition the maybe the Judicial Commission and request that the case be revisited, and maybe then the Supreme Court can come in or whatever, but it has to be a judicial process. It's not something that they can on their own say that no, the appeal court was wrong. After all, it's clear that it was wrong, so we too were back. It's not going to work like that. It's not going to work like that. And you see, this shows us the cash and carry element in our judiciary, which is very wrong, because this won't even be the first time that that kind of ruling will be made, that any issue that has to do with party structure cannot, even is a pre-election case.
Yes.
So you cannot bring it up after election. All those things have been ruled. There are precedents. Why the appeal court chose to do what it did is what nobody understands.
But do you think the appeal court had learned its lessons? And do you think in the future we would stop having this sort of issue, especially with the way politics is played
I
in
don't
Nigeria?
think so. I don't think so. I
So
don't
you
think
mean
so.
there's a possibility of this thing still happening?
It can still happen. But my take is that this thing should not be allowed to just go like that. If there is any way these agreed lawmakers can make their petitions, they should just they should look into it and look at judicial means or constitutional means of making this point clearly, because I don't see a situation where it's going to stop, and except Nigerians decide to put a stop to it. It is judicial recklessness, recklessness of the highest order. But unfortunately for these lawmakers, they cannot on their own reinstate themselves.
Now, let us do a little bit of comparison. I do not know if the cases are the same, but let's take some minutes to compare what is happening in Plateau State with what is happening in River State, for example. You know, some lawmakers in the River State House of Assembly left their party because they felt there was an issue also with their party to APC. Now, the grace of the president made it possible for these lawmakers to have stayed in the APC, and the judiciary is not coming to intervene in that particular case. Now, don't you think it's possible for lawmakers in Plateau State to say, okay, if our colleagues in River State had their ways, all right, they come from the PDP and gone into the APC, then it's possible for us to equally, go maintain our state too.
That is a different thing. It's not similar, right? This the lawmakers in River State are playing politics with themselves, right? The court has nothing to do with it. It's like you defect from one party to the other, which happens in Nigeria, though wrong. Elected on the platform of APC, PDP, and because they had problem with the governor, they decided to defect to
the APC.
In that case, it is the people, the constituents, that have the right to rise and say no, and there is even no law right now that forbids that, which is very unfortunate. So for those ones, it's still an internal thing, right? But for these Plateau lawmakers, it is like a seal of their destiny by the course of the land. If you notice, for Rivers lawmakers, the court is not even involved in it. So it's not they are just playing their politics, and you know that they even went to court, which I think was deliberate. You know, the governor signed the budget for 2024, and they wanted him to represent it, and there is this case of how do we represent something that the governor has already signed. Yeah. So there is a way that they went to court, and the court ordered the governor to represent the budget. So you see that they just use these politicians, they just use the law courts, and this judiciary that is supposed to be a separate arm of government, and now they are now working for the
tandem with the politicians.
Yes, with the politicians. So at the end of the day, they are making it difficult for Nigerians to enjoy rule of law. And when a country lacks rule of law, there is going to be anarchy. And that is what we are seeing in our system. That is why we can see what is happening in Plateau State, for example. And that is why you can see the nonsense and rubbish taking place in Rivers State. And it seems normal, but it's abnormal in any sane society. What we are witnessing in these two states shouldn't be at all, and the judiciary should be ashamed.
But do you think to reinstate the rule of law like you clearly stated, do you think there could be a way the president can intervene in this to ensure that the rule of law is respected, to ensure that the voters who really voted for these people, reap the dividends of their democracy?
How I wish the politics in this place is devoid of the presidency's
intervention
is in the first instance.
Okay.
How I wished it wasn't a planned thing in the first instance. So, I mean, for us in Nigeria, the politicians from top to bottom, they are only interested in their interest. And those who are interested in their interest, you cannot call on them. They are not the ones that will correct the system, because they are the ones benefiting from the abnormality they deliberately created in the system.
Exactly.
So I don't see what the president can do in this matter. It shouldn't even be the job of the president. It's abnormal. For example, when a governor goes to court, for example, and he comes back, and because he's not sacked, he's thanking the president. I mean, you can imagine that. And you hear that all the time, that I want to thank Mr. President that we allowed the court to, he didn't intervene.
So that itself is a rot in the system.
It's in the system. It shows you the extent of the rot, and they come out, they say it, they don't even realize what they are saying. They don't even know the import of that thing. These politicians are so spoiled that they don't know the meaning of being unreasonable. They don't know what should be said. The Yorubas will say, you don't know what to keep in mind and what to say out, because they don't even have any sense of wrong or right again. Otherwise, you don't see a governor coming to say that he's thanking the president that the court did not remove him. So I'm just saying this to let you know that there is little or nothing the president can do, especially the president is going to benefit from such anarchy.
Exactly. All right, so let's move on to the second issue that we have, and that is on the relocation of some agencies from Abuja to Lagos. Now, the Northern Senators Forum are coming up to say that they are not in simpatico, they are not in agreement with what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is about to do. Now, do you think it's necessary for us to have a relocation of agencies from one region to another because we have a new sheriff in town who possibly feels that is necessary? Do you think it is so?
I think I would rather analyze the reasons for the relocation in the first instance.
Okay.
Yeah, I read what the Minister of Aviation said, the reasons he gave for the relocation of fan, for example. The man said that the people were relocated, and since they were relocated, no offices, no accommodation, that they were just floating.
So is it the responsibility, isn't it the responsibility of the fan to provide all of these things for the people?
That's where I'm coming to. And he now said that meanwhile the offices they left in Lagos were empty. They have buildings in Lagos that are unoccupied. And they now wonder why that movement took place in the first instance. Remember that it was also the former Minister of Aviation that moved them to Abuja. In any part of the world, you put your Ministry of your aviation agencies where the traffic is most now, which is Lagos.
So should that be a determiner?
For me, I don't see the reason why that movement took place in the first instance.
In last 4 or
yes, I don't see the reason why it took place. Why should we be doing things based on politics? Why can't we just do things based on necessity? Why should we have buildings that are wasting away in Lagos without being occupied? And just because somebody is in power, is from a certain part of the country, you now relocate the workers to a place where you think is your own, that you own. Please, let's be frank. Lagos is part of Nigeria. And Abuja is part of Nigeria. And anywhere in this country can accommodate federal workers.
But what I guess they were trying to do at the time, I do not know for sure, is sort of a decentralization. Don't you think that is the reason?
I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so, for example, as a Nigerian, I never bothered myself about where
what agency is located.
I don't care.
Be beautiful.
Because
what's more important about is the
service.
Exactly.
So I never even knew what that farm was in Abuja or in Lokoja or anywhere. But the reasons these guys are giving for rejecting this movement is what is of concern to me.
But don't you think that is going to further tear, our inclusiveness, because I think it's important we understand that Nigeria is a makeup of people with different ideology, and on that basis, we are able to live in peace with one another. Don't you think that is further going to tear what it seems like is holding us together?
I think the things we think are holding us together needs to be re-examined.
Please explain.
Yes. For example, you cannot be talking about location of an institution without looking at the advantages or disadvantages of such location, and you take it as your purpose or your reason for ensuring unity. There are so many other things that we should be working around. How do we think? How do we see ourselves? Those are more important ways of unifying ourselves than structures, federal structures. Because I realize that these people, they are not about you, they are not about me. They are about what they want to eat from those structures and the location where they are. Otherwise, Nigerians should be talking more about love, importance of love, peaceful dwelling together, that national consciousness, the consciousness that anywhere that any establishment is, it belongs to all Nigerians. Not that you appoint a southerner as a minister of a federal capital territory, for example, and some people are coming out to say that it is our own, it belongs to us, it is our right. That is not how to ensure unity. That is not how to ensure unity, because that reasoning alone we disunite, because we are already making it look like some people have more rights to some things than other people, and that is what I see in this relocation saga. That is the way I see the relocation saga. Now I ask you, why is it that it is only people from a certain part of the country that are complaining about this relocation?
Well, because it is shifting from their zone to some other zone. Now, let me ask
why is it that the Easterners, for example, are not even talking about it? Why can't the Easterners also say that, okay, look, this thing, bring it to us?
Yes, because that is a part of the issue the senators are raising. They said that if we say because there is so much traffic in Lagos, therefore FAN, the CBN should come to Lagos, then the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment should either go to Kano or Onitsha, while NNPC should equally go to some of the south.
We can do it like that. So it's fine. I don't mind this like that. It's fine. But the northern people cannot be telling us that we cannot relocate, that Nigeria cannot relocate some, not even the headquarters for the Central Bank of Nigeria. It is the FAN that they are talking about, the headquarters. They cannot be dictating to us that a particular thing must be. I mean, the reason is even annoying, that if you do this, it's going to affect us. Who are the us? It should be all of us. I would have preferred a situation where the agreed senators have the buy-in of other senators from other regions.
They're actually working on that.
They shouldn't have spoken. They should have got that buy-in, and they should have come out as a body, so that it doesn't look like the north. Look, I think two bodies from the north had come out openly to complain about this thing. Me, I'm a Nigerian. I don't care whether I'm not talking like this because I'm from the south. I'm just looking at it as a Nigerian, and looking at our antecedents and the way that some people just feel they have the right to some types of common. Okay, why did even the minister that moved it in the first instance, why did he move that the FAN headquarters? Because it was from the north, and he felt that it should be in the north. So if we want to continue with that argument, we just realize that as Nigerians we will be looking at all this factionalization that does not benefit the average Nigerian.
Exactly.
But these politicians, these elites who love to make the nation dry at the expense of the poor people. And that is why I don't really care where FAN or Central Bank of Nigeria is located. Let currency be available.
Exactly.
Don't let me be going to bank and be struggling to collect the money that I own. So that kind of a thing. Let them work and stop all these distractions. We want efficiency.
Exactly.
That's the most important thing.
Exactly. Of course, the most important thing, just like a doctor did say, is that we have a functioning country. We have a country where every Nigerian is proud to say, I am Nigerian, because our leaders do what they ought to do. I'd love to say thank you to Dr. Olabisi Deji Folutile for being part of our show today. Thank you so very much, ma'am, for granting us your time.
Thank you for having me. It's a delight to be here.
Thank you so very much. So for you watching, we'd love to say thank you so very much also for being part of our show today. Please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Also, do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. I'll see you tomorrow for yet another awesome time. Cheers.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.